So what is it that makes the Lycian tradition different from other traditions in Wicca? Well, there are three main things. First of all, the initiations. The initiations are three in number. First initiation being that of an admittance or entrance into the craft. The second having to do with learning or honing your skills in the craft. But the third having more to do with the heart or the spirit of a person. Now, in most traditions, the third initiation has to do with the great rite. Not so in the Lycian tradition. In the Lycian tradition, the third initiation is called the wild hunt, or also we refer to it as being taken by the wolves. Being taken by the wolves is a very dramatic initiation, and it really prepares you for dealing with some obstacles and things in the astral realm. Now, because our initiations are secret, I really can't go into the details of what those initiations are, and they are secret for a very good reason. When you enter the craft, when you are initiated into the craft, you want to respond during the initiation as your natural self, without any preconceived notions about how you should or shouldn't act. Therefore, we keep the initiation secret in order for you to respond more naturally. So that's the first thing that distinguishes our tradition from other traditions, is the initiations are definitely very different, especially the third being that of the wild hunt. The next thing that distinguishes our tradition, the Lycian tradition, from other traditions, is where we place the elements, on which quadrants they're located. Also where we put the tools and how we assign the tools to the elements. Now, we have our elements, fire, water, air, and earth, same as everybody else. However, we place earth in the east, water in the north, fire in the south, and air in the west. And there are some very definite reasons for placing these here, and those can be looked up on the Lycian Sanctuary website. The next thing that distinguishes the Lycian tradition from others is the use of the tarot. The tarot deck, but not for divination. We can use it for divination, but in our tradition, we more often use the tarot deck as a holy book, with each of the cards representing some divine force or deity. Now, the major arcana, the picture cards, represent deities to us. They have personalities, and they very definitely represent the gods and goddesses. Then we have the court cards, that is, king, queen, prince, and princess, or king, queen, knight, and knave. These represent people living in the world with us, a deity of some sort, although not quite as powerful as those of the higher realms. Then you have the pip cards. The pip cards are the cards numbered 1 through 10. These are the primal creative forces in nature, the ones that are indistinct. They kind of merge and flow into one another. They also are the foundation for all that exists. They're the primal energies in nature. Now, when we look at each of the cards in the tarot deck, we see these deities. We use these cards much as prayer cards are used in other religions. When we wish to focus on a certain god, goddess, or energy, we will pull out that specific card from the deck and we will meditate on it. Not only that, each card has a specific altar setting associated with it. Those two can be found on the Lycian Sanctuary website. So these three things, the initiations, the wheel of the year and the placement of the elements, and the use of the tarot cards as a holy book specifically, rather than being used for divination, is what distinguishes the Lycian tradition from other traditions as far as ritual. There is another distinguishing factor. and that is our very firm belief in astral projection, in the fact that our spirits or souls can leave our physical bodies. This belief is what gives us the ability to seek initiation, not just in the physical world, but in those astral realms between the worlds. This is where the true visionary initiation occurs, between worlds. This is where the higher spirits, the gods and goddesses, actually take hold and initiate a person into the Lycian craft. Now, initiation does involve obstacles. It involves challenges. If there weren't challenges and obstacles, then you wouldn't learn how to get around them, work, or evolve, or grow stronger. Remember what Nietzsche said, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." Well, initiation is not meant to kill you. It is meant to kill a certain part of you. And that part of you is the weak part prior to initiation. You come through initiation a much stronger person. Much stronger because you have learned and grown through the very act of being initiated. You learn something about yourself, you learn something about the world, you learn something about nature. Hopefully this is what initiation does for each individual. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I call it initiation not taking. It doesn't take. Yes, the person went through an initiation or so-called initiation. They consider it such, but it really didn't make any dramatic change in the person. They're much the same afterwards as they were before. In the Lycian tradition, we feel there is an initiation that takes and one that doesn't. We seem to recognize through experience, at least those of us that have been initiated, when an initiation doesn't take. And at that point, well, we can only hope that the next initiation, or maybe initiation in another tradition, will take. Not all traditions are for everybody. The Lycian tradition is no different in that respect. We are not for everyone. We have as our totem animal the wolf. The wolf is not an animal that is in harmony with everyone's personality. Therefore, when you come to the Lycian tradition, when you study the Lycian tradition, remember this tradition is, in some people's minds, much more harsh or aware of the darker side of nature. We accept that there is death. We accept there is pain in the world. We accept all these things. But we also accept that we can have compassion. Compassion for our fellow beings on this planet. Whether those beings are human or animal or plant, it makes no difference. We do need to kill in order to eat. We kill animals in order to acquire meat. We kill plants in order to acquire the vegetables that we eat. All life comes from death. This too is one of the main teachings of Lycian Wicca. There is no life except where there is death. This is a harsh teaching, and for some, a very hard one to accept. But in the Lycian tradition, as wolves who like to play with the pups, take care of the old, be with one another, and help one another grow and be strong, we also realize we depend on one another to bring down our prey. The prey in the Lycian tradition is knowledge, is experience. This is what we're seeking. We do this by study, by questioning, by testing one another constantly. This is another thing that distinguishes our tradition from others. We constantly test and try. There is no true Lycian Wiccan that is not willing to be tested by very hard questions. In fact, I would say we almost look forward to them. More than anything else, we want the hard question. We want to grow and evolve.